So what's the best debt repayment strategy? Do you know the best strategy to pay off all debts? Hey, I'm Hervin Pesa. I'm a financial planner, and in this video, I'll talk about debt consolidations. See, after all the hardship that we went through post-Rona, this video may be a lifeline for somebody you care about. DM this to them. Obviously, don't share it publicly. This is a very private matter. But there are actually 3 debt repayment techniques that I'll cover in the next few days, and I'll help you decide which one will work best for you based on key questions and situational examples. This is video 27 of 30 for our 2021 Money School. It's a free mini course that we created for the month of September. It shows you all the money lessons you wish you learned from school. So if you want to join us in this journey and want to take control of your money, consider subscribing and be sure to hit the bell so you never miss any of the lessons. So what are the 3 most common strategies to paying off debt? There's the debt avalanche, where you tackle the most expensive, highest interest debts first. There's the debt snowball, popularized by Dave Ramsey. I love that guy, where you take the smallest balances first, and that's where you tackle and focus all your energy first. And then there's also a debt consolidation that packages all of your high interest loans into a single payment, not to be confused with a consumer proposal. They're not the same thing. We'll talk about consumer proposals in a separate video. See, my aim is for you to understand which debt payment strategy will work for you, how they work, and which one will get you to your payoff date sooner with the highest success rate. I'll also exclude real estate or mortgage and business debts out of this. I'm assuming that these are non-deductible, non-mortgage liabilities that we're trying to pay off. So this video will focus on debt consolidations. Let's talk about that right now. Let's talk about debt consolidations as a payment strategy before anything else, because it's likely going to be what the bank branch will offer to you if that's where you're getting your advice, and I'll explain why later. See, the main idea behind a consolidation is taking out a bigger loan with a lower rate and using that to pay off all the higher interest loans, right? Usually a fixed term personal loan is taken out, but an unsecured line of credit will also work, or a home equity line of credit will also work. Sometimes you may even be pushed to refinance your mortgages altogether and use that to cash out and pay off all your debts. Now, the biggest pro for a consolidation is simplicity. If you consolidate all of your debts, you'll have one single payment instead of spreading all of your payments across multiple loans. Second is you'll likely pay a smaller amount monthly. And third, it should save you in interest costs. I'll talk about the cons later. Now, regardless of what strategy you choose over the next few days, you need to have enough free cash flow to allocate to your debt payments. Watch yesterday's video about budgets for non-budgeters, or even if you have a nice budget, you may still have to come up with a side hustle as a way to increase your income for more free cash flow. That may mean selling some of your toys, flipping some of the collectibles that you know more about than the average person. Like, if you know a lot about kicks and you know how to make a profit, that won't feel like a lot of work, but you can make a few extra bucks.
I saw this. That's it. The zero.
If I could get those shoes, I would trade my whole entire collection.
Right? Now, maybe you're an expert and you can have some consulting time on the side. Maybe you can simply approach your employer and ask for a small raise, maybe $2.50. A $2.50 an hour raise is $5,000 a year. If you can boost your income by $5,000 without increasing your expenses until you're done paying debts, you're gonna be able to pay your debts much faster, right? Or maybe you can sign up for this free Amazon FBA course.
Hey, I'm the random dude wearing a turtleneck on your newsfeed, so you should listen to me. See, most people, they settle for 10% returns in the stock market because that's all they know. What a bunch of losers. But I know you want to escape the rat race, so you're not trapped with your 9-to-5 job more than you need to be. I'll share the money lessons that I've learned when I was building my $1 million empire in the fastest growing industry in the world. I'll teach you Amazon FBA. Click the links in the description below, and I'll show you how to be rich. Course costs $3,999.
Just kidding. Don't get scammed. Let's meet Mike. He has 4 credit cards with a total balance of $14,000 and a student loan of $21,000. The credit cards have the following balances and interest rates. The PC MasterCard has $6,500 outstanding at 25.99%. The TD Visa card has $5,000 outstanding at 11.99%. The Costco MasterCard has $1,000 at 19.99%. And the Walmart MasterCard has $1,500 owing at 29.99%. While the student loan, on the other hand, is charged 4% in interest right now. Let's first look at an internal consolidation, where you look at your current facilities that you already have available to you based on the available room. Looking at this list, the TD Visa has the lowest rate at 11.99%. If the maximum room for this card is $10,000, it may make sense to roll the Costco and Walmart card balances into this card. After all, with a Costco card, the interest rate goes down from 19 to 11.99. That's an 8% spread. With a Walmart card, 29 to 11.99. That's an 18% spread. That's a significant savings in interest rates. That sounds like a good deal, right? That might be an option, so explore that based on your own situation. But here's the thing. In real life, taking a cash advance out of your credit cards may actually end up with a higher interest rate than what you were originally trying to pay off. So be careful when you're doing that. There are cards that allow you to do balance transfers. I'll leave that up to you if this is something that you're considering. So now let's look at getting a consolidation loan. This is likely how it goes down for most people when they get introduced to debt consolidations. See, Mike is at the bank doing his thing and the teller says something like this. Oh, wow. Just to let you know, we have low promotional rates on small loans and lines of credits right now. I noticed that you have these regular payments going to these credit cards. You may benefit from a consolidation loan and you'll end up paying way less in interest payments. We can book you an appointment right now with a financial advisor. So naturally that somebody with a little bit of debt gets curious about that, so Mike books an appointment. Mike comes back for his appointment, and this time he's sitting across one of those internal rooms, internal cubicles, instead of talking to a teller. He's greeted by a financial advisor named Dave. Sometimes the business card says lending specialist or credit specialist instead of financial advisor. Those are probably a little bit more honest in my opinion. Anyway, let me go back to the story. The bank employee looks at Mike's situation, gets a bunch of info, gets his ID, crunches some numbers, looks at his credit, and says, you know what, Mike? After checking over your file, it looks like we have a fairly good chance of getting you approved for a $35,000 line of credit at a 5.99% interest. In this case, your payment will likely be around $677, but you can pay as little as $350 a month. So Mike thinks to himself, well, I'm making probably $700 in total interest payments or monthly debt payments anyway, but I'm paying $100 here, $200 there, $150 here. Maybe this makes sense. So he likes the simplicity. Let me just give you an analysis with this situation, all right? There's a few issues here. Number one, why would Mike need to refinance everything, including the student loans? Remember that the interest rate for the student loan is 4%. If he rolled that full amount into the line of credit, he'll pay 1.99% more. I know that there's a convenience factor in doing this, but if he paid off the $21,000 over a 5-year period, his total interest is $2,122, while with the 5.99% with a line of credit, he would pay $3,220. It's about $1,100 more, right? That doesn't make sense. Not to mention that the student loan interest has a 15% tax credit. So the net student loan interest after the tax savings would actually be closer to $1,800. Once it's refinanced and it's mixed with other debts, this tax credit is no longer allowed. So that would become an issue. Okay, I'm not saying all lenders and all bank employees will push to refinance and repackage everything. Sometimes it's also the consumer or the client because they don't know, right? Like they just want a single payment. But I shared this example this way to highlight some of the pitfalls too, right? A consolidation doesn't make sense if you end up paying a higher interest rate. Let's look at what I would do if I was in the situation instead. Here's an estimated interest savings if Mike declined the $35,000 offer and instead agreed to a $14,000 loan to pay off just the credit cards. He'd have a monthly payment of $270.12, and he would pay a total interest of $2,147 over a 5-year period. That is $5,787.89 in savings compared to his current total interest, which clocks in at $7,934.89. I used a calculator from the Government Canada website. The links are down below. Now, not to mention that if he did this, there's going to be a monthly cash flow difference. With the current payment schedule, he would be paying about $430 every month. He would have $160 in free cash flow compared to his current payment. If he decided to pay the same $430 that he was paying for with the credit cards anyway, his new payoff date would be 3 years instead of 5 because of the lower interest rate, allowing him to put more of the same payments into principal repayment. But let's say that he didn't want to do that. If he just wanted to maintain the minimum payments for everything. If he did this, he would only have to worry about the a monthly payment of $270 plus $387 for student loans, a total of $657 a month. Slightly less than what he was already paying before, but this time it's directed and simplified to a single payment and payment stream. This makes it simple for him and makes it, I think, easier to be successful and finish this off. So what are the cons? As always, there's no such thing as a perfect strategy unless you're talking about those Amazon FBA guys and the gurus that are going to make you rich tomorrow. Sorry, I keep on harping on them. But now, what do you need to know? What do you need to be aware of? What are the cons when it comes to debt consolidations? The first one is this still tends to be a productized approach. Debts are sold, and the compensation structures in the banks and lending institutions are designed to get more wallet share. They want to sell you more debt instead of coaching you or helping people learn about debt repayment plans and building the discipline so that they don't come back and end up in the same situation. They're incentivized to sell more loans. And no, even if they work as a salaried employee, their performance is still tied to loans sold or products sold. I mean, we had exposés as recent as 2017. Look at these articles here. I'm not saying that every bank or every lender is evil, but this is something that you need to be aware of. There might be things and strategies that you can execute yourself without having to take out a loan. Like, that's my hesitation with this. In other words, the banks profit less from teaching you how to get out of debt. They profit more if you're in debt. Second is there may be penalties that you don't see right away. We used the unsecured line of credit in this case as an example, but you may be in a situation where you have equity in your home and you're offered a home equity line of credit. That could work too. But what I've seen happen and what I have to warn you about is if you end up being offered a cash out refinance or a remortgage, there will likely be an interest rate differential charge for breaking your existing mortgage. This doesn't necessarily stop it from being viable, but it's an added cost that you need to be aware of. Third, already kind of mentioned this, but the consolidation doesn't necessarily teach someone the skills to stay out of debt. Now, at the risk of running this video a little bit too long, I'll share a story with you. I got started in this personal finance field through the insurance world. And in the insurance sales side, you don't get compensated unless there's something sold or a product is bought. One of my first referrals ever. Loved the presentation, loved their approach, loved their idea, loved the pitch, the plan, and everything else. It was all rosy. But when it came down to writing the plan and actually paying for the policy, she said, I can't afford it. I have too many debts. I'm in a helping profession, so I helped her. I made a consolidation plan for her, and we made it happen. Right? She said it was going to save her marriage because her husband didn't know about all these debts. And the funny thing is, I was young, I was new at the time. I didn't have a strong referral network like I do now. So I actually went to the bank branch with her and introduced myself as her nephew. And she was just there asking for help, and I just needed to translate the language barrier and so on. But long story short, we got it done. We managed to reduce her monthly payments and her debt significantly, and there was finally a light at the end of the tunnel. It looked like she was going to be able to pay everything off. Then fast forward 2 weeks later, we booked a meeting to get together and finally get her an insurance policy, which she needed. She shows up with a Louis Vuitton bag, saying that it's the price for all the hard work we did. Yeah. And here's the kicker. She said that she's worked really hard to reduce her expenses, so she didn't want to buy an insurance policy anymore. That story stuck to me, not because I didn't get paid, but it really showed that unless somebody is willing to change, it doesn't matter how much advice and how much help you give, it's not going to change anything. Right? The consolidation reduced her interest, made her payments better, but she didn't learn the lesson. If you do a consolidation, make sure you cut the cards after they've been paid off. I mean, how terrible would it be to have the new loan consolidated and everything else in there, but you're still adding to the credit card debts in form of LV bags or whatever the hell it is that you're interested in? Sorry if that was a long story, but I hope that got the point across. So this is the next con. This is not possible if your credit is already in the toilet. If you need to apply for a new loan, the interest may be just as high as your current debts, or maybe you won't even get approved. So that's definitely a drawback. Next, this strategy is not as effective if you don't hit the like button. So who is the debt consolidation design? It's for somebody who has stable income and can prove that they can actually service the new loan. It's for people that have their credits still stable enough to actually get approved and get approved at a low enough interest rate so that there's actually a spread between the old loans and the new rates. Number 3, it works best if you're willing to pay the same debt payments even if the consolidation reduces your required monthly payments. Number 4, there has to be a significant reduction in interest rates for this to actually be worthwhile, especially if there's penalties if you're talking about a refinance situation. Lastly, it's for someone who is actually willing to learn new habits. So even if you refinance or change your cash flows, if you don't want to make changes and you end up going back into debt, it's all for naught, right? And more importantly, it's for people who actually know how to like YouTube videos. You guys watch so much of my videos. I see the views, but no one's leaving me engagement. Sometimes I just want to troll you guys. All right. So I just want to say this again, all right? After all the hardship that we went through post-Rona, post-pandemic, post-shutdowns, post-lockdowns, this video might be a lifeline for somebody you care about. Learn this and help them, or share this video with them. Thanks for watching. In tomorrow's video, we'll talk about more debt reduction strategies. Until then, stay aware, take control. I love y'all. Bye. Yesterday's video about budgeting is right here. Watch the full playlist. There's already 26 different videos, and be sure to subscribe. See you tomorrow.